Briefly, Sergio Baffoni, Environmental Paper Network, which is a wide alliance of more than 200 organizations all over the world. Brief background: pulp and paper production and consumption globally expanded from its start and never stopped. It's the only business maybe that never stopped to expand. In the last 50 years, expansion was the production multiplied for 4 times, so it's huge. And don't be fooled by this little decline here, because if we look at the pulp industry, pulp and paper industry predictions, we see a continuous growth. Now we produce globally around 400 million tons of pulp and paper, and in this decade we will add another 60 million tons. So it's huge, and it's never stopping. One of the reasons of the recent growth is that recently, by the way, China stopped to import from Western countries dirty paper scrap. So in 5 years, they used to import 30 million tons of paper scrap for recycling, and now they are gone. They are going into incinerator or into. So the result is that Chinese industry started to need 30 million tons more of pulp. 30 millions of tons per year, it's more or less, just to give you an idea, the amount of the full production of South America every year of pulp. Also, the consumption shifted from graphic paper, so written paper, into packaging that is much more difficult to recycle, so actually increase the amount of unrecyclable products. So also a decline of recycling. As a result, we have a big demand of virgin fibers. That means pulp, fibers for pulp coming directly from timber, from forests. The price are going up, demand is increasing, and a lot of new mills are being built globally. This is just a little map that we are monitoring the new project. This is just new projects, mills that are not there yet, but will be built in a few years. As a result, also, production is going south for a simple reason, because in the Nordic countries, in the north, there is no more way to produce this huge amount of paper that it's demanded of pulp. And a tree in the Nordic country can grow in 20, 30 years, some cases in the far north, even in 80 years. In Portugal, let's say in Europe, might grow until maturity in 15 years. In Brazil, an eucalyptus tree can take 3 to 5 years to be ready to be harvested. So it's much more productive, of course, at cost of the environment, because the more quicker the tree grows, the more take resources and water from the ground. But this is not a business problem. So for this reason, for example, we see that according to business criteria, this is all business data, South America is the area where it's more profitable to invest, because rapid growth, cheap labor, natural resources for free, and a lot of subsidies from the government. So it's the best for investors all over the world to invest. It's pulp and paper in South America. I don't go on this. Now, picture of the situation now. We have Brazil that increased in the last decade dramatically its production of pulp. Now it's over 21 million tons per year production. Chile is a bit smaller. Then comes Uruguay, a little bit Argentina and Colombia. Paraguay, nothing, but it's the newcomer. We will see it's a new story arriving. We don't have data about plantation extension at the moment, but 5 years ago, Brazil had almost 8 million tons, 8 million hectares of land already converted into plantations. Chile 2.5, Argentina and Uruguay more than 1 million. Paraguay again 0, but it will, and a little bit also in Colombia and Argentina. Now, if you look at the map, we have 20 new pulp line projects. Why we insist on pulp? Because paper you can produce everywhere. You import pulp, it's not a problem. Pulp needs to be near to the place where timber is growing. So forest, natural forest, plantation, whatever it is. 200, 100 kilometers, no more than that. There are around 20 projects for a huge amount of 30 million tons per annum, which is actually doubling the production of South America. Not all of them will be really implemented, but if they would be implemented, it would be 22 million in Brazil, 2 million in Chile, 1.5 in Paraguay, and well, 2 in Uruguay has been just completed, but another 2 maybe for a third plant. So to see what's the situation in general, Brazil, we have the huge, the biggest epicenter of production, 21 million tons per year, 70 new projects, and we have a huge concentration of industry. Suzano, which is the biggest one, recently swallowed, took over Fibria, which was the third one. So now it's a global champion, let's say. It's the first, number 1 for pulp. The Indonesian giants, paper giants, APP and April, are also taking over part of the pulp and paper industry in Brazil. And we have 2 big areas, the area of Três Lagoas and the area of in the north a little bit, where also there is, many companies, but 2 big, one big giants, which is Suzano, actually. I don't go into the impacts because you will know much better than me. Chile, 5 million tons per year, so it's still huge. 2 big mills just completed on top of it. 2 companies that controls all the business, basically, Arauco and CMPC. And a lot of impacts. Again, we start already to see people unfortunately are people that has been killed in the conflict over the land. This is here, there will be more coming. Uruguay, one huge company, UPM, that built 2 huge mills. One just started up 2-3 days ago. Another one maybe is rumored to be built, so we can still eventually stop it if we are good. But yeah, it's a huge impact. Paraguay, nothing so far, but a new huge mill that could be the first one of a row of new ones if the project will be successful. Another risk of expansion. Colombia has an old history since the 50s. Smurfit Kappa, which is the biggest one producing packaging, by the way, it has a lot of social conflicts. And the 2 persons that you see in the picture has been just killed in the last 2 years in the conflicts around land in this country. Argentina, no big expansion, stable production, also an old industry, but again, indigenous communities are starting to reclaim their ancestral land, and more conflict might be seen in the coming years. So just to a little final note, we have different countries, but if you look at the impacts are very similar. In one country, one can be more tense, in other less, but more or less same impacts. Same companies too. We have just a couple of companies controlling and expanding mills all over the continent. By the way, if you look at the logos, if you exclude Stora Enso, which is a very proud company, and APP, which basically doesn't care, they are all green. And this tells also something about the similarity of this industry all over the continent. They have a very strong image. In Araucania or in the Cauca Valley, people know those companies. But in Europe, in North America, in China, everybody believes they are green. They are replanting forests where there has been deforestation. They are bringing development, restoring degraded lands. They are saving the climate because they are always building new mills with biomass. No more fossil fuel. It's so green that they get a lot of carbon credits. They get a lot of money in green bonds. It's a fantastic narrative. So reality is different, and maybe we have a challenge altogether to see how to collaborate and how to see how we can change this narrative and maybe possibly also change the situation on the ground. Thank you.